started. Okay, so this was given by Bruce Greenshields. Okay, like I said, the Bruce Greenshield said that speed and density follow a straight line relationship. Okay, but the values which you see in this graph, for example, the maximum speed, the maximum density, these are specific to a highway, so they can change. Okay, they will not remain the same. Okay, so this line is for a specific highway in regards to the values. Okay, but for any other highway it can change, but it will still, according to Bruce Greenshield, the trend will still remain the same. When density increases, speed decreases. Okay, so in a straight line, the equation of a straight line is S, which is the y-axis, equals to mx plus b. Okay, where s is the speed on the y-axis, x is density, which is on the x-axis. Okay, now b is the maximum speed when you have zero density. Okay, so we called it the free flow speed, which you have answered to me as well. So free flow speed, you already know what is free flow speed. Okay, so this is free flow speed, and then we have maximum density, which we called as the jam density. When the speed is zero, no flow, no speed, I will call it d jam. Okay, so again, for this particular highway, I have plotted the line. I know which one is the maximum speed. I know which one is the maximum density. The jam density is the free flow speed. Now, for coming back to the equation of the straight line, in the equation of the straight line, b is y-intercept, which is the free flow speed. B is y-intercept, the free flow speed, and you can see here free flow speed equals to 65. In this case, the free flow speed equals to 65. So B is 65. Okay, then m is the slope of the line. Okay, now slope means y upon x, right? Y upon x. So y is what? Free flow speed 65. What is x? Jam density, which is 110. This point is 110. Okay, so m will be 65 upon 110. Okay, for any other highway, the FFS and D jam will change, and obviously the values of M and B will change. Okay, so B is 65 and M is 65 upon 110. So the equation will become S into this ratio into D plus 65. Now, if you take 65 as a common, then you will be left with this equation. So this is the final equation between speed and density. Okay, so it was 65 in minus 65 on 110 into d. Why minus? Because the slope is negative. The slope is negative, going down. Downwards is negative, right? So this is why you see the minus sign here. Okay, but the basic equation is 65 minus 65 on 110 into d. So we took 65 as constant. This is the final equation. Okay, now I will drive the other two equations, which are between flow and speed and flow and speed and flow and density. Flow and speed and flow and density. Okay, so I know this is the basic equation where flow equals speed into density. Flow equals speed into density. So, and this is the equation which I just derived for the for speed and density. Now, in this equation, I can replace the value of S from here. So if you use this equation, then S equals to V upon D. S equals V upon D. Okay, so you take D, open this bracket, and take D on the other side. So flow equals 65 D minus 0.59 D square. Okay, so this is the equation between flow and density. Okay, then again going back to the first equation, in this equation I can also replace d from here as well. So d equals v upon s. In this equation, d equals v upon s. So instead of writing d, I can write v upon s. Okay, and then again open the bracket, take v on one side, everything else on the other side, and you will be left with this equation. Okay, so 1.69 was basically 110 upon 65, and in this case, how did I get 0.59? 0.59 was basically 65 upon 110. 65 upon 110 gives you this factor. Okay, obviously when you open the bracket, you can calculate these values yourself. Okay, so this is the equation between flow and speed then. Okay, so I have the three equations. Now one thing you can note down from here is that the equation between speed and density is a linear equation. So because it's a straight line. Okay, the graph is a straight line. The equation between flow and density and flow and speed is what? These are second degree equations. They are second degree equations. So going back to the graphs which I showed you yesterday, you see flow and density, I have a curve. Why I plotted it with a curve? Because it's a second degree equation. And same thing between flow and speed as well. Second degree equation, it's a curve. Okay. Now I want to find out the value of capacity, the value of maximum flow when these two graphs, the top two graphs, reach their maximum point. Okay, so if I can find out the value of critical density and critical speed, then I know I can put these values in the equation. I can find out the capacity. Okay, now to find out the critical speed and critical density, I must look at the shape of the graph when capacity happens. Now when capacity means the maximum point of the curve. Okay, so the maximum, at the maximum point, you can see either this graph or this graph. Whenever you reach the maximum point, the slope becomes equal to 0. For any curve, when you reach the maximum or the minimum point, the slope becomes equal to 0. Now for both these curves, I have the equations. I have the equation between flow and density, and I have the equation between flow and speed. So if you have the equation of a curve and you want to find out the slope of the curve, what should I do? If I have the equation for the curve, I want the slope of the curve at any point. What should I do with the equation? Yes, derivative. We did it for the vertical curve as well. Sorry. Yeah, so well done. We should take the derivative. Okay, so let me open it here. So now have your calculators at hand so we can move fast. Okay, so coming back here. Okay, so let us look at the equation for V and D. So let us first of all find out critical density. Okay, we have the equation between flow and density, for the curve of flow and density. So to find out the slope of this curve, I will derivate this equation. So dV divided by dt equals, so if you take the derivative, it will be 65 minus 2 into 0.59 into d. Okay, now as I said, at the maximum point when the capacity is happening, the slope is equal to 0. So I will put this whole thing equal to 0. So how much is d then? If 65 minus 2 into 0.59 d is equal to 0, then how much is d? I'll call it d critical because slope is equal to 0 at capacity, and at capacity the density is known as critical density. So how much is critical density now? Give me the value of critical density. 55. Okay. 55 vehicles per mile per day. Then for the critical speed, I have this equation. So I will take the derivative. Okay, so dv by ds, d when you take the derivative, it will be 110 minus 2 into 1.69 s 110 minus 1.6. Again, this is the maximum point, so I will put all this equal to 0 slope, and the speed which you will get after putting it equal to 0 will be the critical speed, because speed at capacity. How much is it? How much is the speed at capacity? 32.5. Okay. Okay, now if you want to find out the capacity, then you have a number of equations from where you can find out the capacity. You have the equation for you have these three equations. You can use any of these three equations, this one, or this one, to find out the capacity. Okay, or you can, sorry, not this one, sorry, let me go back. Yeah, you can use this equation, put critical speed and put critical density, you will get capacity. You can use this equation, put critical density over here, and you will get capacity. Or you can use the last equation and put critical speed in this equation, you'll get capacity. Okay, so once you know critical speed and density, capacity can be found from any of these three equations. Okay, just need to put the value of critical speed and density wherever they are required. So give me the value of capacity, use any of these equations, give me the value of capacity. Go on. Yeah, capacity, how much? One 788. Okay, there can be some differences because of the decimal places, maybe it's not a big issue. Okay, so all right, capacity because per hour per lane. Okay, one more thing which I want you to observe here, critical density is found to be 55. Now if I come here, jam density was 110. Jam density was 110. Okay, so you can see if I multiply critical density by 2, I'll get jam density. Okay, so critical density is half of jam density. Secondly, critical speed was 32.5, and how much was the free flow speed? 65. Critical speed is 65. So free flow speed is 65. Free flow speed is 65, and you got the critical speed to be 32.5. Okay, so that means critical speed is again half of free flow speed. So from here we know another relationship between jam density and critical density, and critical speed and free flow speed. Okay, that critical is half of jam, critical density is half of jam density, and critical speed is half of free flow speed. Any questions up till now? Is it all clear? Like I said, I'm just trying to ignore the decimal places for simplification purposes. But if you are taking all the decimal places, there is no harm. I don't mind. Your answer will not be wrong. Okay, moving on.
Doctor, what's the difference between the critical density and the jam density?
Critical is when the flow is maximum, and jam is when the flow is zero, totally jam, no traffic flow. So many vehicles on the road, they cannot move. This is jam.
So in the critical will be the maximum speed, right?
Critical will be at maximum flow.
Okay.
Okay, the flow is still there. It is the maximum. Okay, so the cars are moving. Jam density, cars are not moving. They are totally jammed. Mariam, for capacity, I told you we have three equations. Okay, you can either use this equation, this one. So you know critical speed, critical density. Put both the values, you will get capacity. Capacity is flow. Capacity means flow. Okay, maximum flow. Okay, so any equation which is between flow, speed, and density can be used for finding out capacity. You just have to put the value of critical speed and critical density. So, for example, you put 32.5 here and 55 here, you will get capacity. 32.5 critical speed, 55 critical density. You will get capacity. Okay, capacity means maximum flow. Capacity is not something new. Capacity means V, maximum V. Capacity means maximum V. Okay, so whenever you put the critical values of S and D, you'll get maximum V. So you can put it either here, or just put critical density in this equation, or just put critical speed in this equation. Okay, whatever V you are getting, that is the capacity. Is it clear? Okay. This is another problem where they have changed the speed density relationship. Okay, speed density relationship. So this is for another highway then. This is for another highway. So they must have plotted the speed density. They must have found the free flow speed and jam density, and they must have used a equation of a straight line to find out this equation which you are looking at in the slide. Okay, now they are saying for this, using this relationship, so they have just given me one relationship. Now they are saying using this relationship, find out the free flow speed, jam density, then derive the equations for the other relationships, other parameters, speed, flow, and flow density, and then in the end find out the capacity. Okay, so I'll start with the first part. Like I said, have your calculators in hand. Now, when free flow speed happens, density is zero. When free flow speed happens, density is zero. There are no cars on the road. That's why you can drive at free flow speed. So to get maximum speed, I will put density as zero. Okay, so speed equals, I'm opening the bracket now. I'm opening this bracket. So 71.2 divided by 122 into 0. Okay, so this means speed equals to 71.2 miles per hour. Okay, this is very simple. Whenever for me, these calculations are very simple. I'm assuming these are simple for you. So if you have a question, stop me and ask it. Okay, don't wait. Then this is free flow speed. I'll call it free flow speed. Then we need jam density. Again, at jam density, the speed will be zero because nobody can move. At jam density, the speed will be zero because nobody can move. So to find out jam density, I will now put speed equal to zero, and this equation remain the same. Okay, so I'm opening the bracket again. 71.2 minus 71.2 divided by 122 into jam. Okay, jam equals 71.2 divided by 71.2 multiplied by 122. So that means this is 122 vehicles per mile per day. Okay, is it clear? Any questions? So for jam density, speed is 0. For free flow speed, density is 0. Okay, this is what we said. This is what I showed you in the earlier, the first activity. Okay, this is what you all got correct as well. So I think this should be easy for you. Okay, then we come for the derivation of the other relationships. Already have the relationship between speed and density. We need the relationship between flow and density and flow and speed. Okay, so we will derive it from the basic equation, which is V equals to S into D, where V is flow, S is speed, D is density. Okay, so from here I know I can replace S with V upon D. So I will take this equation and replace the value of S with V upon D. So V upon D equals, I'm opening the bracket again, 71.2 divided by 122 into take D on one side. So you calculate the value of this ratio. How much is this ratio? 71.2 upon 122. How much is this ratio? V equals 71.2 D. How much is this ratio? With D square. .58. Okay. Then so this is the relationship between flow and density. Now I need the relationship between speed and density. Okay, sorry, speed and flow. So coming back to this equation, now I will replace the value of D from here. I will replace the value of D from here using V by S. Okay, so this from here, from this equation, if V equals to S into D, then D equals V by S. Okay, so S equals, again bracket opened, 21 divided by 122 to V by S. Okay, so now I will take everything, I will rearrange it. So how much is this ratio? You told me 0.458. So 0.58 S, oh sorry, 0.58 V upon S equals 71.2 minus S. Okay, and then V equals 71.2 divided by 0.58 S minus 1 upon 0.58 S square. Okay, so give me these values, 71.2 upon 0.58 and 1 upon 0.58. These. How much is this? 71.2 upon 0.58 will be how much? $122, okay, and 1.72. Okay, fine, good. So 122 S 1.72 S square. Okay, like I said earlier, if the number is already in hundreds, I am just ignoring the decimals, okay? But if you want to keep it, no problem, okay? I'm just trying to make the equation as short as possible, okay? So if you want to give all the decimals, is your choice. There is no harm in that, okay? So we did the second part. Second part was have the relationship between speed and density, this one, and have the relationship between speed and flow. Sorry, between flow and density, which is this one, and between flow and speed, which is this one. Okay, so we did the second part. Now moving on to the third part, which is finding out the capacity. For finding out the capacity, you can do all this. You can repeat this whole exercise. Okay, do the derivative of each equation, find out critical speed, critical density, and then use it in the flow equation. Okay, but we already know that critical density is half of jam density, and critical speed is half of free flow speed. And we have found the jam density and we have found the free flow speed as well. So instead of doing all the derivation again, I'll just use the end relationship, that to d jam by 2. So d jam is 122 divided by 2. So this is 61 mile per lane, and S critical is FFS divided by 2. FFS is 71.2, and when you divide by 2, you get how much? How much you get? Critical speed. $35.6. Okay, good. So yeah. So now we have critical speed and critical density. You can find out the capacity. Okay, again, you can put both these values in this equation. You will find out the capacity. You can just put critical density in this equation. You find out the capacity. Or you can just put critical speed in this equation. You will find out the capacity. Okay, so give me the value of capacity here. How much is the capacity? $2185. Okay. Meters per hour per day. Okay, one thing you can see here, the capacity of the road which we did in the previous example is much lower than the capacity of this road. Okay, and this is because of the design. Okay, so this road which we did in the second example had a better design as compared to the road in the first example. And you can also see it from the values of free flow speed and jam density. Okay, when the free flow speed and jam density is higher or is getting higher, that means the road design is getting better, and then in that case you will have a higher capacity as well. Okay, so jam density and free flow speed indicate the design of the road, and this will improve the capacity. Any questions? Any questions from anyone? Okay, it's clear. Now we move on to interrupted flow facilities. Okay, now not move on to it, but I will just give you a brief introduction. Interrupted flow facilities have interruptions like intersections and so on. So the equations which we have discussed earlier do not apply to interrupted flow facilities. Why? Because on interrupted flow facilities, traffic stops because of an external device. Traffic stops because of an external device. For example, a signal or a stop sign or a yield or give way sign or a roundabout. So whenever you will reach near these interruptions, you have to stop, and then after few seconds the traffic will restart movement. Okay, so because of this stopping and restarting, the flow cannot be analyzed or modeled through the equations which we have just seen earlier. So the equations which we have derived up till now, flow, speed and density, are for uninterrupted flow facilities where there is no external interruption to the traffic. Now what happens when these vehicles move through the intersections? So you came to the intersection, you had to stop because of signal or stop sign or anything, and then after a few seconds you will get your chance to move, and then you will not be the only one to move. Few other vehicles will move simultaneously with you through the intersection. For example, the signal becomes green, so obviously it did not become green for you only, it became green for other vehicles as well. So when you are moving through the intersection, some other vehicles are moving with you. Same thing happens on the roundabout or a stop sign as well. When you have the chance to move, when there is nobody coming from the other side, the vehicles behind you or the vehicles in the other lanes may also clear the intersection with you. Okay, so whenever you pass through an interruption, you will pass in a group of vehicles. Okay, or a group of vehicles passes through the intersection together. That group of vehicle is known as a platoon. A platoon. What is a platoon? The group of vehicles which passes through the intersection together. Okay, that is a platoon. Now, so the characteristics of the platoon can be considered like uninterrupted flow conditions until they reach the next interruption. So you have already passed one interruption in a group. So this group will behave in the same manner as uninterrupted flow facility until it reaches to the next interruption. Okay, so the speed, flow and density equations can be applied to a platoon before they reach the next or immediate interruption. Okay, when they reach near to the next interruption, the group will be dispersed, it will be disturbed, and the equations cannot be applied. The equations which we have seen earlier cannot be applied. So their analysis is more complicated near the interruptions. The analysis of vehicles near the interruption is more complicated, and we will look at it in some other chapters. Okay, even in the coming slides, I will just give you a brief outlook what can happen, but mainly these equations should not be applied to facilities having interruptions. Now there are three things which are related to volume, okay, which are important for a traffic analyst. That is demand and volume and capacity. Demand, volume and capacity. All of them mean number of vehicles passing a highway in a particular time interval, which is an hour. Demand, volume and capacity, all of them are measured as number of vehicles passing a highway or a point on the highway in a unit time interval, which is normally an hour. Okay, but traffic demand are those vehicles which want to pass through the highway, which desire to pass through the highway. Number of vehicles and number of people who want to pass through the highway. They want to use that highway. Okay, so traffic demand is the need or want of the people, the desire of the people. Okay, in terms of vehicles per hour. Okay, all these three parameters are expressed as vehicles per hour, hourly rate of vehicles per hour. Then we have traffic volume, which is the number of vehicles that can actually pass through the highway. How many vehicles actually passed through the highway? So number of people who want to come on the highway may not be able to do it because of any restriction. Okay, so how many vehicles are actually passing through the highway? That is the volume. You wanted to pass, but you decided otherwise, so you are not part of the volume. You wanted to go to some place, you wanted to use Sheikh Salman Highway, but because of some reason you did not go there. You are part of the demand, but you are not part of the volume. You will not be counted in the volume. So volume is which is actually counted in the field, that the number of vehicles which have passed through the highway. Then we have capacity. Capacity is the maximum number of vehicles that can pass through the highway, again expressed as an hourly rate. Okay, point of the highway or segment of the highway. Okay, capacity is the maximum number of vehicles that can pass through the highway. The maximum flow, which we have discussed in the previous examples, the maximum flow, that is the capacity. We already know that. So the maximum flow in terms of vehicles per hour that can pass through the highway, that is capacity. Okay, so when I say highway, they have said it can be a point of the highway or a segment of the highway. Okay, demand, volume or capacity can be vehicles passing a point of the highway or segment of the highway. Okay, so demand is people who want to pass, volume is people who are actually passing, capacity is the maximum that can pass. Okay, now volume can be more than demand can be more than capacity as well. Demand can be more than capacity as well. We have seen in some examples previously that there can be a queue. If more people than come on the highway than its capacity, then there can be a queue on the highway. So in that case, the number of the demand is more than the capacity. Okay, 2,000 vehicles can pass through the highway, that is capacity, but 4,000 are trying to pass, that is the demand. So whenever demand exceeds capacity, you can see four actions written down here at the bullet points, but there's the fifth action as well, which is to do as usual. So demand already exceeded capacity, but the driver still wants to go through the same segment or point of the highway. Okay, so because he has no other option, even if he has to get stuck in traffic jam for 15 minutes or half an hour or 1 hour, he is willing to do that. His trip is very important, his time is very important, and so on and so forth. So even if he has to pass through the traffic jam, he has to get stuck in the traffic jam, he has to waste some time there, he is willing to do that. Okay, so this is the fifth option which you cannot see here. Okay, because this is what normally happens. But let's say the demand has exceeded capacity, so they are so in that case, if you take the first option, which is to do nothing, go as usual from the highway, then you are actually on the highway itself. So if I count the volume, I can count you as well. Or if I count the number of vehicles on the highway, you will be part of my count. Okay, if you take the first step, which is to go from the highway in any case, even if the demand is over capacity, even if there's a traffic jam, okay, then I can count you on the highway. But there are other possible actions for the driver as well. When demand exceeds capacity, you may decide to go from some other route, from some other highway. So I want to go from A to B, and there are two possible highways for me. There are two possible routes for me. I know one of them is congested, one of them has a traffic jam, and I go for the other route. Okay, so the demand is diverted from the congested route to some other highway. Okay, this is one possibility. The other possibility is you travel at some other time. Okay, so I can travel, I know there is office timing now. Okay, but I can delay my trip for 1 hour. So why should I go and get stuck in traffic for 1 hour? I can wait at my home or at my office, and I will leave after 1 hour. So my demand is shifted to some other time. I'm still using the same highway, but at some other time, when the highway will not be congested. Okay. Another option is travel to some other destination. So I wanted to go for buying something, or I wanted to go for picnic, and I know if I go to that shopping mall or that park, then I have to pass through a congested highway, and instead of enjoying myself, I will be getting stuck in the traffic. So why don't I go to some other mall where I don't have to get stuck in traffic jam? Why don't I go to some other park or some other cinema where I don't have to get stuck in the traffic jam? Okay, so the demand is shifted towards another destination. And the last option, the fourth one, which has become very popular in the last 2 years, which is to stay home. If I have to get stuck in the traffic jam, why should I go at all? Why don't I just order something online? Or why don't I do my business online? Okay, whatever work I have to do, why don't I do it through email or something? Okay, instead of going there. So these are the possible actions. So in all these 4 actions, the driver is not part of the highway. if the driver does any of these 4 actions which are listed here on the slide, the driver is not becoming part of the number of vehicles which are on the highway. So the actual demand of the highway is the number of vehicles which are on the highway when demand exceeds capacity. Okay, when demand exceeds capacity, the actual demand of the highway is the number of drivers who are on the highway plus the number of drivers who have avoided the highway by doing any of these things. So the actual demand will not be the number of drivers who are on the highway in that case. Okay, so the volume will only show the flow up to the capacity. If you count the number of vehicles which are passing through the highway, the maximum you can go up to is the capacity, the value of the capacity. You cannot go beyond that. Okay, the number of vehicles which can pass through the highway is capacity. Okay, but the actual demand of the highway can be even more than the volume and can be even more than the capacity as well. Some drivers may be stuck in traffic, some drivers are going to some other highway, some drivers are going some other time, and so on and so forth. They were all part of the actual demand of the highway. Okay, so this is why volume may not be equal to capacity, and volume may not be equal to demand as well because of these things. Okay, there are some numericals here, so I will start for the calculations on Sunday, inshallah. So if you have any questions, any problems, any suggestions, anything you want to say, please go ahead. This is the time for you. Everything is clear? Okay, in that case, thank you for listening. Thank you for participating. You did good in the activity as well as the numericals. Okay, so just good, well done. Keep it up. So have a nice weekend. See you inshallah on Sunday. Okay, Assalamu alaikum. You are all welcome.